What's up guys? Thank you so much for clicking on the video and tuning into my channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can start making a change in your life, whether it be with eating disorder, with mental issues, with just hitting a new goal in your job and weight loss in a relationship, anything like that. Today I'm going to be centering it around my eating disorder and anxiety issues. Because that is what I'm dealing with. But these things can be applied anywhere in your life. But I think it's really important to go ahead and talk about this, and I hope that you guys can get something from it. So if you've been watching my recent videos and you've been following me on Snapchat, Instagram, all of that, you know that I am finally admitting that I still have an eating disorder and I still struggle with these things, and I struggle with body image issues and anxiety and all of that stuff, and I've been struggling with it for about 5 years now, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. I continued to just stuff down all of these feelings and just completely tried to just avoid them at all costs. I didn't tell anyone around me what I was dealing with, what I was struggling with. So finally, after 5 years, I'm admitting that all of this stuff has been happening, and mainly because I'm tired of struggling and not being able to live the type of life that I want. So that's the main reason why I'm finally admitting all of this stuff, and I'm willing to talk about it because I just want to live the best life that I could possibly live, and I want to be the healthiest, happiest version of myself, and I want to teach others how to do that. So that is kind of my goal with sharing all of this stuff, is because if I can help you in any way, even just not feel alone, or if you can take any tips from me or anything like that, I would really love that. So that is kind of like what I'm struggling with right now. And I've been getting a lot of Snapchats and stuff. A lot of people, they just like tell me what they're kind of going through, and they don't know what to do with it. They feel kind of lost. And so that's what I want to talk about today. If you're wanting to make a change, a positive change, there are specific things you need to do in order to start implementing positive changes into your life to have a better life. So the first thing, specifically with an eating disorder, but in any area of your life, is that if you're wanting to make a change, you have to commit to it. And you have to commit to yourself. It's really important that you make this commitment with yourself and that you're holding yourself accountable, because it's so easy to give up, especially in eating disorder recovery. Any sort of change, whenever you're implementing changes or new habits or anything, there's going to be struggle. If you aren't committed 110% to yourself and making that change, it's going to be so easy to fall out of what you're trying to do. And even specifically with me, you know, I'm committed to making this change in my life and finally really getting to a healthy mental state. And I struggle every single day, and there's always going to be bad days, but I have to know that, you know, at the end everything is gonna be okay, and that because I committed to this, I have to keep working through it, and it's just going to continue to make me better. So the most important thing is that you're willing to commit to yourself, and you're willing to commit to that change, and there has to be a why behind it. You have to have a specific why. For another example, if you want to lose weight, let's say you want to lose 20 pounds. It's really easy to just say, I want to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to start working out and eating healthy. But if you don't have a specific why behind that, most of the time it's because, you know, I want to look better. Swimsuit season's coming up. I want to feel confident. I want to feel good about myself. I don't want to hate when I look at myself in the mirror. You know, there's a lot of different whys behind that, and it's really important to acknowledge those things and have your why and be aware of those things, so you can remind yourself why you committed in the first place, because whenever you feel like giving up, you have to have something to fall back on to make you keep going forward, if that makes sense. The second thing that's super important is that you have to be willing to ask for help. And this is like huge for me. I am a big control freak. I like being in control of everything in my life, and I don't like asking for outside help much. I like to prove that I can do things by myself. That's like a really big thing for me. It makes me really proud of myself when I can figure things out and do things on my own and just kind of prove, you know, I'm like, I can do this. But whenever it comes to eating disorders or mental health issues, you can't really do it by yourself. You need help. And the biggest thing for me was admitting that I did need help. I realized in my head that if I just continued to kind of pretend like these things weren't going on and just kind of trying to resist them and just push them away and keep just trying to forget about it and trying to distract myself from these things, that nothing was ever gonna get better and it was just gonna continue to keep getting worse. So I realized that I had to ask for help and I had to seek help, and that asking for help doesn't make me weaker. It's just gonna help me get stronger and get better faster. So asking for help is huge. And even if it's, let's say, the weight loss example, asking for help with like a trainer or with a nutritionist or something like that, or even just an accountability partner or something, asking for help is not a bad thing. And especially for me, like my ego is like, girl, you have to do this on your own. But really, asking for help is not a bad thing, and it does not make you a weaker person. So seeking help, being willing to ask for help is a huge, huge thing. The next thing that kind of ties into this is that you have to be willing to make changes. And I am one of the most rigid people. I have a really flexible schedule. I work from home. I work this little part-time job, so I'm home most of the time. Yes, I have a ton of stuff to do, but I live such a rigid, structured lifestyle. My therapist was telling me that I have got to be willing to put some flexibility into my schedule. And I've got to be willing to be a little bit more flexible with my eating, obviously. And these things are changes for me. These things are hard for me. And they're my struggles. Maybe that isn't your thing. Maybe that's not hard for you to do. But for me, that is one of the things that is really hard for me. So I have to be willing to kind of change my schedule or change the way that I'm looking at certain things. And you have to know that if you do want to make changes, like big life changes, big serious changes, big mental changes, you have to be willing to implement change. The final thing that I want to talk about is something that I've really been learning a lot about recently. Basically, cognitive psychology. Your thoughts create your feelings, which create your actions, which ultimately drive your results. So the biggest thing here, and the biggest thing that I think a lot of people don't even realize, is that you have to be willing to feel your feelings and acknowledge what's going on in your head and what's making you feel a certain way in order to see results that you want to see, in order to make changes in your life. Using myself as an example, for the past 5 years, I've been resisting my eating disorder. I've been pushing it away. I've been making excuses for my anxiety, all of those things like that. I just was totally just trying to resist it at all odds and just try to forget about it as much as possible. I wasn't willing to really look into my head and realize what was going on there and why I was feeling these certain things which were causing me to do these actions. So basically, and what I'm working on with my therapist right now is diving into more of like what my thoughts are. My homework for this week is writing down everything that I eat and what I'm thinking following the meal. And yes, I'm a little bit rolling my eyes because it's really annoying and I don't like it. And I don't like acknowledging my thoughts. And again, it's scary, it's a change, and it's uncomfortable. I don't like it, but I know that ultimately this is gonna lead me to the life that I wanna have. But just the biggest thing, in my opinion, is realizing and be willing to acknowledge and feel your feelings and really dive into your mind and think about what your thoughts are. If you follow me on Snapchat or Instagram, I share a lot of podcasts that I listen to, and one of the huge ones that has been helping me so much recently, and I've been sharing it with everyone, is the Life Coach School by Brooke Castillo. Brooke Castillo is a life coach, and basically this podcast is just she talks about these things, how to acknowledge your thoughts and how to just live the life that you ultimately want to live. So that's kind of where I've been getting all this information from, and I highly, highly recommend that you listen to it. I just started from number 1. I think I'm on like 25 right now, but that's kind of where I'm getting all of this information from. What I want you guys to get from this video is that if you want to make a change in your life, if you want things to happen, if you want to live the life that you dream about, you have to be willing to make changes, and you have to be willing to dive into your head and think about what's going on in your head and feel your feelings, and then be willing to make changes and implement new things and be willing to ask for help. So everything is, you know, this is a whole process, and I just hope that these tips kind of help you out. I know with an eating disorder or like mental issues like anxiety and depression, these things are huge. And I just hope that you can take something out of this and can even just maybe reflect on it. So I hope you guys liked the video. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to y'all soon.